guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am once again barefaced, which means I'm going to be testing out a product for you guys. And the product I'm going to be doing a first impression on today is the Lancôme Teint Idole Ultra Cushion. And this is one of the few cushions that has come out on the Western spectrum of things, and I thought it'd be interesting to try out. This is, however, a whopping $47 and does not come with a refill. It also has a predecessor in the form of a normal foundation, which I believe is called Teint Idole 24-hour Longwear foundation or something to that effect. They did boost up the SPF for the cushion version. This has an SPF of 50. The original foundation has an SPF of 15. That being said, this does have quite a few claims. It says that Lancôme introduces its first longwear and high coverage liquid cushion makeup compact. Complexion is velvety and flawless, beautiful all day long to make confidence last longer. So this is what the compact itself looks like. It's black and gold, and to be very, very honest, it feels kind of flimsy, especially when compared to my other cushion foundations. For example, let me go ahead and pull one out. This is the Misha Magic Cushion. The Misha Magic Cushion retails for about $19. This is $47, I remind you. And it just feels sturdier, especially like the mirror portion. Like, I don't know, like, can you guys hear this? Compared to this, like, this is so much more lightweight and flimsy. I don't want to say cheap, but I don't know, these just feel a little bit sturdier than this one does. First thing I noticed. Also, the sponge that it comes with is not similar whatsoever to other sponges. Like, for example, these are my I'm Mimi sponges. Just to compare side by side, this one is a lot fluffier. It kind of reminds me more of a powder sponge than a cushion sponge. Like, it's just fluffier. Okay, so now that we're nice and zoomed in, we could go ahead and start with the application. And before I do, another thing I wanted to point out is actually the netting system that they have going on here. It is different from your traditional Korean BB cushion or cushion foundation. This one is supposed to be better for application and coverage. All right, so I am having quite a bit of skin issues at the moment, quite a bit of breakouts. I do have a couple here, so let's see. Hopefully this matches my skin tone. Okay. Oh my god, that looks so light. Okay. Looks like we're going to be this smells like perfume. Oh goodness. Alright, so that's application done, and I am pretty impressed, especially with the coverage. It covered all of my imperfections and red spots. I do think that I do have a shade that's a little bit too light. It might look even lighter in the camera, especially because I do have my artificial lighting. It does have an SPF of 50, yada yada yada. I will try to do a check-in in natural light once I've finished the rest of my face. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be back. Alright, so it's pretty late. It's 3:38 p.m. It has been about 2 hours after initial application. This is what it looks like with makeup on top of it, and it's oxidized quite a bit, as you could probably tell. It's now the same color as my neck. So I guess this is the right shade for me since it's oxidized. I always forget to mention that before application I do start with primers because I have very, very oily skin, and if I don't, it's basically not worth a review because I will be an oily mess at the end of the day. I started with my Custom Effects blotting drops and my Pony Effect primer. Those are constants in my routine, so I know how they perform. And I will also mention that this claims to be a matte finish. Before powdering, I noticed that it didn't really dry down matte, so I would say it has a demi-matte finish. Once it's powdered, then you should be good to go. Let me go ahead and turn off my artificial lights and open my window so we could see what it looks like in natural light. Okay, so this is what the foundation looks like in natural light. I am sitting pretty far from the window, but it's still hitting me directly. Just as a reminder, this is highlighter, not the foundation itself. And yeah, so I will check in again with you guys in a couple of hours. Hey guys, so it's 5:11 and I'm checking in because this is the point at which I really feel like I need to blot my face. I am starting to look quite a bit oily, and this foundation really isn't as lightweight as I would have expected it to be, and now especially that my oil is kind of like seeping through, I could really feel it sitting on top of my skin and it feels a little bit icky. So I'm gonna go ahead and blot and show you guys what it looks like blotted. And I was noticing this before I even blotted, that the redness on some of my breakouts here on my forehead is coming back or peeking through. So it is starting to wear down a little bit, especially around those breakouts. The redness around my nose is also starting to peek through just the slightest bit. But other than that, I think we are still good. And now I'm receiving a call. Excuse me! And I will check in with you guys in a couple of hours. Hey guys, so now it's 10:21 p.m. and these are the results after a little over 8 hours of wear. So I did have to blot between last check-in and this one, and I am looking a little bit shiny once again. So I'm gonna go ahead and blot so that we can wrap up this review. Okay, so now that I got all of this under control, let's go ahead and list some pros and not so much cons, but things to note. For the very first pro, I'd like to mention the coverage. I was very impressed with how high coverage it is. So it's kind of medium to full buildable coverage, which is nice, even though I personally prefer a light to medium coverage, but I knew what I was getting into with this foundation, so that's not really a big deal. It's actually a pro. Second is the finish. It's a very natural finish, even though it's kind of medium and full. It does sit nicely on the skin, and it has a demi-matte finish, so it's not as matte as it claimed to be, at least not on my skin, but it's a nice happy medium. And another pro I'd like to mention is that it is somewhat long wearing. Now it's not like 24 hours worth of long wear, and around the 4-hour mark some of my red areas did start to peek through, but it didn't break down anywhere else. So yeah. Now moving on to things to note, the very first one is that it oxidizes like crazy. As you guys saw when I initially applied it, it looked very ghostly, and now it oxidized, thankfully, to the shade I needed it to, but you know, the fact that it oxidized an entire shade darker is kind of scary in a sense, because imagine you got color matched at Sephora or Ulta or any of these stores, then you went home and applied it and it oxidizes to a shade darker. Okay. The second thing to note is that I didn't mention it while I was applying it, but I did mention that it was very heavily fragranced, and at that same moment that I was mentioning that, I kind of started to feel a little bit of a tingle. Nothing like painful or anything like that. I do have very sensitive skin, and it hasn't really irritated my skin throughout the day, but just that initial application, it kind of started to tingle. I do have a couple of breakouts, nothing like too bad, but people with acne might want to be wary of that fact. And the very last thing I'd like to point out is the price. This cushion foundation is $47 and it doesn't come with a refill. And to be completely honest, I don't really think it's worth that hefty price. I have tons of other foundations that I'm probably gonna reach for over this one. That being said, I don't hate it, but it's not my favorite. And I'm definitely not gonna be repurchasing it once it runs out. So I hope that you guys found this review helpful. Like always, all of my links will be down below so that we could stay connected. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so that you're notified every time I put out a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for stopping by, and until next time, bye!